The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production.
Kev, it's my anniversary today.
Wedding?
Yeah. Well, actually, as we record it, it will be my anniversary.
Congratulations.
The reality is when this goes out, it won't be. 20 years shooting weddings, Kev. 20 years.
I thought you meant when I said wedding, I meant wedding as in married to Sam.
No. That is October the 14th.
Well remembered. Yes, that's good. That's a good shift. It's a good shift.
Good shift. And there have been times over the last couple of years, and you know this, where I said, do I want to do this anymore? And then I sort of got caught up in all these. I was surrounded by peers of mine, including you, that were all sort of making their exits. And in the same way that the dentist has just talked to me about referred pain, which apparently is on my left side of my mouth, not my right, it was almost like a referred pain thing. That I was like, do I want to do this anymore? No, all right, no. And actually, I decided over the last 2-3 months, really, that yes, I do. And I have a different experience to those of my peers, my friends that have left the industry or are in the process of leaving. But yeah, 20 years, 1,000 weddings. Not 1,000 today, but 20 years.
Well done.
Is there a long service medal?
So what were you? You must have been about 45, 46 when you started shooting
shut
weddings?
up. I was in my 30s and you know it. But I probably look like I'm in my 60s or 70s now, granted, yeah.
The Fujicast.
But I was in my 30s. I'm sure I was when I started. Seen everything. I mean, like you, Kev. We've seen everything. I've seen fights break out. I've seen people thrown out of boats. I've seen people throwing cake. I've seen not for a joke either. One of the barn weddings I did. It was almost like two sides of the fight. They were throwing they were threatening to throw chairs at each other. It got that ugly. I've had moments where people have refused to cut the cake because it's the wrong shade of pink. I haven't had anybody die on me like you have. I'm not laughing about that because that's not a laughing matter. But it is the sort of the darker side of weddings. I've not quite seen like what you have, Kev.
No. That's very good going.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. I am. And it was good friends of mine. They weren't the first to book, but they were the first to get married, or the first wedding I covered. And they had their 20th wedding anniversary, and they put it up on Facebook. And I thought, yeah, there we go. It's mine too, as part of your story. Anyway, well, thank you. Welcome to the Fujicast. You and your questions. Send them into Facebook. Kev does the Facebook ones. I do the ones that come out of email at click@fujicast.co.uk. Right, Kev, what have you been up to this week? It's school holidays, actually, as we record, isn't it? What are the kids up to?
Me and Albie went to Weston-super-Mare yesterday. First time I've been with Albie and not Rosa, which was sad because Rosa was up revising.
Is she actually revising, Kev? Is she revising?
Yeah, she seems to be. I mean, I bless her. I think she's doing the best she can.
Yeah.
They've got, same for Jack, isn't it? He got 2 weeks left after half term?
Yeah, they're over halfway through their exams now. Yeah. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because, some people say, no, it's not difficult. Turn off the computer, tell them to study. But giving them a bit of space to be able to do their own thing as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I went with her Saturday. We hired the cross-country course at Charlton House.
You hired it?
Yeah, you can rent it for an hour. It's, loads of people do it.
Oh, a horse cross-country?
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought you and Rosa were doing cross-country in your pumps or something.
No, horse cross-country.
Yeah.
So that was great fun, actually. It was the first time she'd done a cross-country course. Oh. Took my little camera. It was nice. And that was the first time I'd driven a horse box as well. Ooh. Which is a trailer, not a lorry, a trailer. And that is not an easy thing when you've got 2.5, I don't know actually how heavy horses are. I'm going to say a ton in this box on your tow bar. And then you take the wrong exit and you've got to reverse, and reversing those things is like, you need to be a doctor of cleverness to understand how those things reverse.
I always think that people that reverse their large trailers, and I mean Pantechnicon style trailers, I always look at them and think, you are a driver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. HGVs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because when you want to go left, you got to go right.
How heavy is a medium-sized horse in tons? What horse weighs 1 ton? I don't think any horse. A Shire horse can weigh a ton. So
I wouldn't say he's a ton. She's a ton, but she's definitely
300 to 1,000 kilos. That's quite a lot of range there, isn't it?
Yeah, probably half a ton then is probably accurate. It's not for the faint-hearted, but it was good fun. It was a nice, lovely day. She did her jumps amazingly well.
Brilliant.
Some nice pictures. I went to Weston-super-Mare, had a wedding on Sunday, and...
How many weddings do you have left in your career?
Well, I've got 3 left in the diary.
3 left in the diary. And then the odd one...
2 in June, 1 in July.
1 in July, okay. When it comes along, you'll take the odd one.
Potentially.
If it's the sort of gig where you think that's got Mullins written all over it.
Yeah, potentially. But for now, in real terms, there is 3 left, 2 in June, 1 in July. My final one, as it stands, is right up on the north coast of Norfolk.
Oh, lovely.
And I think it's a midnight finish. So
you're not going to drive home after that, are you?
Yeah, I always drive home. You know that. I drove home from Ullapool. Unless I've got to fly, I always drive home. I've always every single
madness
wedding I've
though, Kev.
UK,
That's midnight. That's midnight, Kev. You'll be tired. It's dangerous.
Best time to be on the roads.
Well,
absolutely the best time. You can listen to your audiobook. There's never any traffic. Well, that's not true, but there's rarely any traffic.
I tell you what, your reading, your audible reading, is going to go right down when you finish your.
It will. I know.
When you finish your weddings.
What have you read this?
What have you read this year, Kev? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
You'll be doing a lot of YouTube in your office with your white Y fronts on. I know what you're up to. You sit there doing your chest with your white Y fronts on. Nothing else.
Yeah, I am. I am going. This is an interesting thing. I am going to spend 3 hours. Do you remember Neale Adams, the Olympic judo?
Rings a bell.
Yeah. So he's he got silver at the Olympics and 3 times world champion.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to spend 3 hours with him at his private dojo. Sometime we're just trying to fix dates, and looking forward to that.
What does that mean? Are you going to record an interview with him or something?
No. I'm going to go, and it's all part of the kind of British judo coaching stuff and everything. So I will go, and in September I'm going to start trying to get points towards my second Dan. So I'm basically going to go to him and say, Neale, I'm a 51-year-old man with knee problems and feet problems and joint problems, and I want to start fighting again.
He might just say, do a cold plunge and just do chess, Kev.
He might just look at me and go, yeah, nah.
Who would win a fight between the two of you? He was born in 1958. He's 65 years old.
Yeah. He's a 9th Dan. No.
He's a what, man?
9th Dan.
9th Dan. So that means he would see you off easily.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the commentator. When the Olympics come in July, and if you ever watch the judo, he's the voice behind the mic.
Is he? All right. Okay, I recognise him now. I've just brought a picture up onto the screen, and I do recognise him. Yeah.
Yeah. He was one of the Team GB stars back in the 80s and 90s, maybe just the 80s.
He's retained his fitness by the looks of it, Kev. He doesn't have bad knees or bad feet or gout or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it sounds like it's going to be a good time, Kev. Before we start, a thank you to Pic-time for being our sponsor. We greatly appreciate you. We greatly use you. I think I'm going to be greatly using you more than Kev in the coming years. But it doesn't mean that, Kev's still got his galleries up there. And your galleries will shift slightly. They will become slightly different galleries, won't they? Inevitably. But that's the great thing about Pic-time. You can put whatever you like on there, whether it be weddings or portraits or commercial work or meetings with Neale Adams or whatever you want to put up there as a gallery.
Well, I used it last week actually.
Did you?
Yeah, it was Albie was doing his confirmation in the church, and as usual, I was the designated photographer, and I think there was 15 kids and families and all that kind of stuff. Took all the pictures, the new Archbishop and all that stuff. Popped it on, set it private so nobody could see it, and went out. Nice little photo film. People download the images. People buy prints, and that money will go to the church. But yeah, it was good.
Perfect.
Good. Still using it.
You can use it for whatever you like. The great thing is it's the most important thing is it's not just a place to put some pictures up in sort of the same format and as a tiled format that doesn't. This is sort of a dynamic kind of format to the presentation that you receive when you look at a Pic-time gallery, because you can choose to make some largest champion or hero images. You can give people downloadable rights. You can sell through it, albums, prints, all sorts of goods that you can sell through it. Set your prices, work with suppliers around the world, which is important because I have a couple of American clients at the moment who got married here, but they are buying albums back in America. And so to use American suppliers for that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
And
I've got some breaking news.
Oh, have you?
In Pic-time as well, yeah. And it actually comes via our most recent question on the Facebook group. It was not a question, really. Well, it is, I suppose, but it's from David Jennings, and he says, "Hi, chaps. Been trying out Pic-time this week, and I can confirm your promo code does work in lowercase."
Oh, there we go. It's only taken a year or year and a half to get to that stage. So it works in whatever case you want. But I still like the fact that we tell you to go do it in uppercase. So, there we go. So if you want to get a month free, then go to pic-time.com. And then when it comes to putting in your promo code, put FujiCast. We used to say put it in all uppercase, but clearly you don't need to.
We don't need to, no. And David does have a question, though, as well. He says, been debating which plan works best for me and wanted to know your thoughts on the slideshows. Do you provide them for non-wedding shoots, like parties or portraits? There we go. We've actually just discussed this. Do you charge them to download or offer it as part of the package? Yeah, so I include a slideshow for all of my clients. And so this is very timely, David. So the confirmation thing I did last week is an event rather than a wedding, and I created a slideshow. I always allow my clients and their guests to download the slideshow for free. In this case, for the event, for this, if you call it a party, I allowed all of the people to download all of the digital images for free as well. But for weddings, usually I set the client only to download the digital images for free.
Yeah.
Guests have to pay for digital images.
That's exactly how I do it, yeah.
The slideshows, yeah. And yes, absolutely. I think the slideshows are amazing. Very simple to use. I had a question the other day about slideshows in Pic-time and, how do you get the music to match and all that kind of stuff. And they've got a really neat feature where you can just set the transitions to fit to the music. So it will shorten or lengthen the photo film. Depends on the music. It doesn't get the beat matching right or anything.
I was going to say, does it beat match? That would be impressive. No.
So you have to, if you want to beat match it, you have to pick a track which is the same length. Oh, well, actually, so cleverly what they do is they give you all of the music options and it tells you how many slides this music will fit to beat match perfectly. And there's hundreds and hundreds. So you can usually find one that will match the amount of images you have, but it might not necessarily be the type of song you want, in which case.
If you've got 300, in a gallery, and it says, well, if you want to beat match these, you can only put 150 in. How do you elect which of those 150? How do you get rid of half?
You don't. You do it the other way around. So you put your 300 images in, then you scroll through the music and you find the music that matches 300. So that's the way you would do it. So, like I said, you might not find one with three. There will be lots of them with 300, but it might not be the music you want.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm very fussy about my music, Kev.
Yeah, so you can upload your own music as well.
Oh, can you?
Pic-time stuff.
Yeah.
So if you've got an art list subscription, or if you've got rights, permissions, maybe you make your own music.
Be licensed.
You can upload that as well. You don't have to use the Pic-time music, although there is a huge collection there. I usually find something I'm happy with there.
Well, go to pic-time.com and then when you get to the checkout, choose, FujiCast, upper or lower, however you want to do it, and you'll get 1 month free. Thank you, Pic-time. Right, questions. Do you want to go first or shall I?
That was my only question I've had.
No.
Yes. I've got some I can go through, but that's the only question we've had since the last show.
That's a short show. That's it.
Yeah.
See you next week. Yeah. Joseph Butash has written in. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neale. Love the show. I often listen on my commute and really enjoy the brilliant banter. 2 quick questions, or 2 QQs. Number one, is there an easy way to change Fujifilm simulations in post? I've been thinking about it recently and never read about a way to do so. Kev is the man you need for this.
If you're shooting JPEG, no, there isn't. If you are shooting RAW, then you can do it. Lightroom or Capture One, in fact, have the film simulations built in. So although they're not exactly the same as the ones you get onto your camera, they're pretty good. So you can, in the profiles in Lightroom, you can choose camera matching and then choose whichever film simulation that you wish to use, Acros, Astia, etc., etc. Or you can use Fujifilm X-Raw Studio, which is a free download. Plug your camera in, and you can play around with all of the film simulations, etc., etc. But if you're shooting JPEG, no. Once you're JPEG'd up, you're JPEG'd up
for life. JPEG is not just for Christmas; it's for life.
Yeah, you can edit, of course, JPEGs, but you won't be able to kind of go to Lightroom and say, right, please now use Acros rather than Astia, for example. That will only happen in RAW.
Before I get to his second question, I'm trying to look for it. It might have been a direct message or something. I can't remember who sent it, but it was something I went through quite a while ago now, actually, when Lightroom did an update. Remember the HSL panel that we used to use a lot? Mm-hmm. I love the HSL panel. Then one day it was gone, and everybody said, what's this stupid thing? You just get a color clicker and all the rest of it. And the what's it called? The color mixer. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. It actually defaults to the new setting, doesn't it, or with the picker, whereas HSL has never ever gone anywhere. I wish I could find who sent that question in.
Still there.
It's still there, but it just doesn't default to it. But once you've gone to it, it will from then on default to it, and it will be there. Your HSL in all its goodness will be there forevermore.
Yeah, it's still there.
But that was something that bugged me in the very early days. I thought, what have you done with HSL? I do wish that you could, I think there is a way to do it, but I do wish you could grade films using Lightroom. I much prefer using Lightroom to grade, colour grade, if you like, colour correct, than Premiere, for example. If there was a way of doing it the same way, I'd love that.
There is a kind of roundabout way you could do it.
But it's not the best way to do it, is it? It's a bit
I mean, you could, if you're looking for a specific colour look, you could do it in Camera Raw, which will give you exactly the same options as you've got in Lightroom, exactly the same. And then you can create your own lookup table in Photoshop, and then you can use that LUT or 3D cube in Premiere Pro.
Okay.
As your head just exploded.
It did a bit. Could you tell? I've just been to the dentist, Kevin. They've been talking about referred pain. That's just sent referred pain all over my body, that.
Yeah, you can do it, but you can't save LUTs directly out of Lightroom.
No.
You get a bit jiggery-pokery with it.
It is a bit jiggery-pokery, this.
Yeah.
Just let us run a timeline across Lightroom. That would help. Question number 2. Should I upgrade? No, he said here, I don't think my wife listens to the podcast, which is relevant, I think, for the answers or the answer we're about to give. Should I upgrade from the X100V to the X100VI, or VI, as Kev calls it? Could you upgrade? Well, if you've got plenty of money in the coffers and can find one, yes, it might be nice, but should? I don't know. I mean, I wanted the 6. I didn't have the budget for the 6 immediately, but I've been using my X100V all the time. Do I miss the 6? No. Would I like some of the advantages that the 6 had, such as image stabilization? Maybe, but I don't believe I'm missing it. My X100V is, I mean, obviously you've got much higher resolution. Would that be good? Yeah. Yes, of course it would. Am I missing it? No, I don't think I am.
Yeah, so it's the same as everything, isn't it? If what you have currently does what you need it to do, don't change. No, absolutely no need to change.
Don't go changing.
The thing I love the most about the X100VI is that nice big 40 megapixel sensor.
Yes, yeah.
It is lovely partly because you're shooting with a 23mm lens and you've got much more latitude for cropping and compositional changing.
Yep.
And that for me is worth it. And I think that's the killer thing for me. IBIS, etc. Yeah, on a 23mm lens, maybe for filming, it's useful, but for stills, less so for me, at least. I don't particularly think I need to have IBIS at 23mm. Now, if it was a 50mm lens or 75mm lens or something like that, then yeah, IBIS would play more of a role in it. But But yeah, I think the upgrade from the X100V to the X100VI is substantial enough for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
With the caveat that if the X100V that you currently have does exactly what you need it to do, and you never think, oh, I wish I could crop in there and it wouldn't, I could get more detail, etc., then absolutely stick with what you've got. Don't, no need to spend money. Every single time you spend money, a tree dies. So only spend money when you need to.
I spent a bit more money on a mouse yesterday than I planned to spend. The white mouse is a little bit less than the black mouse, but I needed the black mouse to go with the keyboard, but I didn't really. I could have just bought the white mouse. And the whole point of this story, Kev, is that we do fear sometimes what our spouses might say. And it was completely ruined by my younger son saying, that costs more money, Mum, than the white mouse. To which I got in trouble.
Well, last night.
She gave me that kind of like, every time you spend a bit more money, a tree dies. Look.
Yeah. Well, that's quite right. And but talking about kids and money, last night Rosa came down. We were watching the telly. Rosa came down. She walked in the room and she went, "I'm so sorry." And I was immediately thought, "Oh no, what's happened now?"
Yeah.
And bless her. So she opened the bathroom cabinet to clean her teeth, and the ceramic pot that we have our toothbrushes in came tumbling out of the cabinet, hit the sink, the reasonably new sink that we only had fitted about 18 months ago, and made a 6-inch hole in it, completely smashed it to bits.
No.
Yeah, which is not much fun when you live in a cottage with only one bathroom.
Yeah.
So
you've been cleaning your teeth now in the bath?
Bought a new, I'm here. I've got my stuff here, so I'm all right. But Gemma's been up to the plumbers today, bought a new sink, and she will fit it on Monday when it arrives.
Your Gemma is amazing.
She is.
So did you hear that? Gemma has been up to the plumbers, bought herself a sink, and she will be fitting it on, whenever.
When it arrives on Monday.
On Monday. What are you going to do that day, Kev? Sit in your white Y-fronts in your office and play chess.
Yes.
Online.
I shall be very busy doing busy things.
Oh, God. Right, come on. A question from Facebook, if you can find one. But you did say you got some that are in the...
Yeah.
In the
so this is from John Lancaster. This is 3 weeks ago. And he says, after dabbling in the Fujifilm system for a while, I've gone full in and now own an X-T5. I'm a hobby photographer and like taking landscapes when hiking, street and cityscapes around Liverpool and the docks, and general stuff when out on walks. I like close-up and macro on occasion. Formal portraits and the like don't interest me. Yes, John. I currently own the 18-55 and the 35mm f2. Can you recommend a suite of lenses an amateur Keeney should own to keep him happy? Many thanks.
An amateur Keeney?
Keeney.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's slightly different to a man Keeney.
What were you celebrating there? No portraits?
Formal portraits and the like don't interest me. Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
T-shirt down.
Dear, go on.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of bases covered there. 1855, you've got quite a bit of crossover with the 35, though, of course, because 35 sits square in the middle of 18-55.
Yep.
So if you like macro, I would. It depends on your budget, but you've got the 90mm macro option. But I would, if you're not shooting quickly, which doesn't sound like you are, I would hunt down a 60mm f2.4 macro. You'd have to find a second-hand one because that's a superb lens, very sharp. One of the original lenses to be released by Fujifilm. Slow to focus, but makes beautiful images and is quite good. The other option for macro stuff is to look at the what they call it, the extension.
Oh, the extension tubes, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd need to double check that they're compatible with the particular lenses.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would be. And there's two of them available, and they're excellent. They really are excellent. You can, you'll end up seeing the world in a completely different thing.
Through a different lens.
Yeah, through a different way. So there's an option. Those extension tubes, I think you can still find them on the Fujifilm store. Very, 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 very good things. I've got them. I've got both of them, and I used to like using those. Yeah. You can keep your 35 f2, but I actually think you've got that covered in your 18-55. So I would then go and get a 60mm macro or the extension tubes, and potentially then think about because you're doing hiking streets, cityscapes, etc. Maybe something like a 10-24 or, that kind of wider end. Doesn't sound to me like you need a longer or telefocal lens, 80, 90, 100, that kind of thing. So that's what I would do.
Enjoy. David Swales wrote in, this is not a question, but you can look this up. Look this up while I'm reading out his thing. At Family Portrait Magazine on Instagram. At Family Portrait Magazine. That's a bit cheeky. There's a few bare buttocks in here, Kev. David Swales. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neale. I just stumbled across an Instagram page for a magazine which I thought might be of interest to you both. It's called At Family Portrait Magazine. Has some great pictures on the page. From the looks of it, they started up in 2020, but currently only on issue 3. There are some lovely photos on the page, and we'll be curious to see the physical magazine. Also, as a side note, just wanted to say how great the London Fujicast event was back in March. Thank you, David. Kev was there, sort of, in the end, weren't you, Kev? You sent out your film.
I did,
yeah. Next time, the week before, we're not allowing Kev to do anything that might hurt his knee. Or his gammy foot, or any other part of his body that isn't quite working properly.
There are some amazing pictures on here. I do like it, I've got to say. There are some also very weird pictures.
Yes, there are some strange ones, aren't there? I agree with you.
Yeah, it looks like they started off with all good intentions, curating their homepage, whatever they call it, on Instagram.
Yes.
With combinations of images that make up kind of
a big image. Yeah.
But some really interesting pictures. I like that. I'm going to follow them.
Yeah. Well, thank you, David, for that. But we'll put a link on the page as well.
I'm a bit confused by that lady in the bridal.
Yeah, me too, Kev. I was hoping you wouldn't mention that one.
Other than that,
you mean you haven't gone to a wedding where somebody said, "Can we do that pose, please, Kev?" Oh yeah, right. Okay. Yes. And then you don't want to do the one where we lift the bride up. No, I want to do the one that I saw on the Family Portrait magazine. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
right,
I love the one of the kids skipping with the wheel.
Where's that one?
2 rows up from the weird one.
Yeah. Yes, I like that. That's Katsunatu's Harlem. So that looks like that's a Harlem from the 70s by the looks of the cars, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not a recent picture, but yeah, I like all that.
I like it. You can date a picture very much by the cars, can't you? I know clothes as well, but cars definitely. Do you know now? Yeah. Were we talking?
I'm not sure it is the 70s though. I haven't said that.
No,
I've got to say, because if you look at the
maybe 80s actually, maybe 80s.
I mean, there's like little small leather bags and stuff with that lady in the background. But yeah, certainly. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is recent, and maybe it's just serendipity that those cars are like that. But
I don't think 1, 2. The ones that I can see all the way along I can see 3 more identifiably, and they don't. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
It has that look of nostalgia, that particular picture. That is for sure. So thank you for the tip off on that one. Do you want me to go for another email, or do you want to go for we
Facebook? Can. Right, Joe Quinn Cintron says, "Hello, Kev."
Joe
Hello,
Quinn.
Neale.
How do you spell that name?
Joaquin.
Is that Joaquin? Like Joaquin Phoenix?
Okay.
I got very excited for a minute. I thought Joaquin Phoenix had written in. I thought, has he got a Fujifilm camera?
Isn't he dead, Joaquin Phoenix?
No.
Oh, his brother died. Yeah. Anyway, on a show last November, a brave soul asked your opinion on the Nikon ZF.
Oh, yeah.
And you gave us a very amusing summary of the camera, graciously offered by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I remember that because neither of us had any idea what to say.
Oh yeah, we just don't use Nikon, do we? So
no, exactly. I think what the initial question actually meant, however, is what are your thoughts on the Nikon ZF? It's a beautifully designed vintage style camera. Yes, there we go. Yeah. Many compare it to the X-T5 as an alternative vintage SLR style camera choice. Will Nikon succeed in winning over Fujifilm users who love their vintage aesthetic and tactile function of Fujifilm cameras, but would prefer to have a full-frame sensor? Or is this simply for the Nikon lovers who wish they had a camera option similar to Fujifilm's offering? Much love from over here in rainy Seattle.
Well, I can add something in here. Matt Bobby was one of the chaps that came on the African the West African trip to the Gambia that I organised earlier on this year. And he had that camera. I have to say I was absolutely enthralled by it. The dynamic range of it, absolutely amazing. It was a fantastic camera. A lot heavier. I mean, I don't think you can compare it. Well, you can't when it comes to weight of camera systems. Not at all. But as a camera, I thought it was really, really beautiful in terms of using it and what came out of it. I looked over Matt Bobby's shoulder each night as he was editing pictures that he'd got during the day, and whether it was really harsh sunlight or whether it was quite dark, or whatever. I mean, the images coming out of it were fantastic, Kev. I was really impressed with it. I think I must have said to him many, many times, that is a super, super bit of kit there. I can't remember the lens he used, but I don't think he changed his lens. It was just him, one body, one camera for the whole 10 days, and he got some superb stuff out of it, Kev. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
There you go.
Did you have any experience to add on top of that?
No. I've just typed it in to look at it, and yeah, it does look nice.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix, by the way, was the Joker.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you remember the film? I don't know. No, it wasn't called The Joker. It was just called Joker, wasn't it? It was, quite a disturbing film, Joker. I went to see it with Giles, and we went to my friend Giles. We went to the pub afterwards, and both of us sat in the pub sort of like we'd just been hit with a sledgehammer. It was like, what have we just witnessed? And
I'll sidestep that one then.
Maybe not one for you. I don't think Napoleon's one for you either.
Tragic. I remember going to watch a, the first of the new, when they did Star Wars again, and they started. Because the original ones that came out in the 70s started with the fourth one, didn't they? And then they made the first one. So
they did it the other way around, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah. So the first one in the series, if you like, came out in about 1992, 93, I'm guessing, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, I went to the public premiere, not the posh premiere, but the first showing of that in the Odeon in Leicester Square.
Right.
And I was sat there, and I was surrounded by people dressed up as Ewoks and, R2-D2 and all that.
Did you not get the memo that night that you had to come as an Ewok? I was like,
this is insane. And the film made absolutely zero sense to me whatsoever. Like, at one point, they were flying through space in their little spaceships and shooting each other and everything. And the next thing, they're in a canoe on this lake being attacked by this monster from the lake.
Right.
Surely if you've got your spaceships and all that kind of stuff, you're not likely to be sitting in a canoe in a monster infested. So anyway, I got up and left. I was fed up of.
You got up and left, Kev, in the middle of that.
And I went to Wetherspoons and waited for everybody else to turn up because I was sick to death of the bloke behind me every time that big brown hairy thing came on. He was like,
you mean Chewbacca?
Every single time. And I kept saying to, Simon, who I went with, Gemma's first husband, I don't get this.
So you went with your wife's first husband?
Yeah. Okay. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
The whole thing's a bit odd.
These little hairy Ewoks and stuff kept tapping me on the shoulder going, shut up.
Yeah, trying to watch
and I was
it.
like, yes, I'm going. And I went to Wetherspoons.
Last year I did a wedding. I think it was last year, possibly the year before. They all go by so quickly, Kev. Where it was a Star Wars themed wedding, and I honestly thought, well, I've never been to a themed wedding, so this is going to be interesting, and it was interesting. Sometimes not in the right places, and there was a really, really good Chewbacca. It's on my Instagram feed actually. A really good Chewbacca turned up. Look, I mean, as this thing was walking up the path, I thought, my God, that really is Chewbacca. If there could be a Chewbacca, that is it. And it was a blindingly hot day, really, really hot day. And they sort of mingled with the guests. So a couple of stormtroopers, Chewbacca. I think somebody else was supposed to be there. Maybe they were lost in the galaxy or something. But it got so hot that at one stage they disappeared. And I thought, I wonder where Chewbacca's gone. I thought, I think he'll be in the changing room. I thought, and I went through to the changing room, and there was Chewbacca sat in a chair drinking some cold water from a bottle, and his head was next to him. And I lifted my camera, and straight away somebody said, "Don't take a picture of Chewbacca without his head on." And I put my camera down, Kev, And I really missed a great moment, because that would have been a fun moment to have had a headless Chewbacca with his head just to one side. But I respected it and didn't take the picture, Kev. I should have taken the picture, shouldn't I? I know you would have done, wouldn't you?
Always respect Chewbaccas. Always respect Chewbaccas. None of those. If it had been one of those little shitty Ewoks, I wouldn't have given a damn. But Chewbacca.
If you think that's a difficult film to grab a hold of, Christopher Nolan is one of my favourite directors. I think his films are amazing. But I recently tried to watch Inception. Have you ever seen Inception?
No.
Right. Honestly, it was a little bit like Matrix meets a dream. Well, it is a dream, actually. Inception's all about dreaming. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I thought, do I need to be taking... This is not the time to start giving up alcohol. Do I need to be on something to understand this film? I couldn't make head nor tail of it. And it's like one of those books where you think, I can't bear this, but I think I've got to see it through to the end, because it's Christopher Nolan. There's got to be something about this film that's suddenly going to make it, Anyway, try it, Kev. Inception.
Yeah, I try and avoid films with just one name, one word as the title.
Do you? Like Jaws?
Yeah, Jaws. Definitely avoid that. Yeah. I never pooed for weeks after I first saw that one as a kid. Poo in an egg box.
Oh, Kev!
Affected me for life.
Oh, even the dog is looking a little... You all right, Barney? I know. He's looking a bit concerned.
Yeah. Right. Gavin Perry says, with all this AI talk these days, I was curious to know if you're following the Content Authenticity Initiative, right? And the website for this is contentauthenticity.org.
Oh, let me go for it. Hold on. Get rid of Inception. Contentauthenticity.org. Yeah, .org.
Backed by all the major camera manufacturers and Adobe, Getty Images, Shutterstock, and hundreds more. If successfully adopted, any image you view online will highlight whether it is a composite of multiple images.
Ooh.
However, he says angrily, Fujifilm is not a member of this initiative. Downward smiley face.
Oh.
There we go. This was 6 weeks ago. However, I can comfortably say that Fujifilm are now a member of that as of May the 17th, according to the press release. So Fujifilm are introducing C2PA, as they call it, content authenticity, to X and GFX cameras via firmware updates. So there you go.
So what does that mean, Kev? When you make a picture, it sort of comes out with a seal of approval that this has not been tampered with?
Yeah, by the looks of it. So I would imagine it's an EXIF mark, and, then BBC and Getty and, everybody else will be able to look at that EXIF data and identify whether it was a composite or whether it was, multiple images created into one, etc. I don't know whether it goes any further than that. I haven't looked into it. Whether it identifies, if it's in camera, then really that's the only thing they can do, isn't it? Identify if it's a composite or not, multiple images.
Big names behind it, Kev. There's Leica, Nikon, Canon, New York Times.
Yeah, it's not going to be a difficult thing for them to do, Getty, because it's just an extra EXIF flag.
Yeah,
I would assume that's how they're doing it. What I would like to see much more, I would like to be able to see. I would like all of the AI image generator type tools, of which there obviously are many now, including mobile phones, to have an EXIF flag to say this is AI generative imagery. And then,
but it's always going to be in some of these brands now. The AI is what it's being sold on, so people are just going to use it to create their imaging.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and I don't. That's fine, absolutely. But I would just like to see, for example, on Facebook. I've left so many Facebook groups. There used to be a really good group called Inspired by Edward Hopper, and it was great. Loads of photos, some good, some bad, but basically photos. And then it just got flooded by people who just used AI to generate Edward Hopper-esque type photos. And some of them were quite hard to identify as AI. But what would be really nice is if they've used ChatGPT or, any of the other things to create, because there's loads of them now, to create an AI image that Facebook or Flickr or wherever you distribute the images automatically can say AI image. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
However, on that point, this is very, 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 very important. Possibly the most important thing I've said in the last 30 seconds. Facebook have switched on by default the flag to use your content in Facebook for training its own AI monsters. You can switch it off. You have to go to the settings, and I think.
Oh, let me go through this, Kev. Talk us through this process. No.
Okay. So,
are you able to?
Well, I don't know the actual route to this form. However, there is a form. We will link to it, and I will put a post in the Facebook group.
So it's not as easy as going to settings or anything.
Yeah, no. Well, there is almost definitely in the settings, but those settings are enormous, aren't they? Yeah. Anyway, facebook.com/help/contact /635919108416519. That was my one. That might be different for others. However, what you need to search for on Google, at least, is object to your information being used for AI at Meta. That will then take you to the right link. You have to fill in a form, select your country, select your email address. Please tell us how this processing impacts you. Yeah. And I simply wrote, I'm a professional photographer and I don't like it. I submitted it, and about 2 minutes later, I got a message back saying, thank you, we will not use your content to train our AI monsters. Yeah. They don't use the word monsters, obviously. So, yes, if you don't have to do this, of course, you might be quite happy with it, but I wasn't, so I went and did that. Type that URL in, Neale, and see if it works for you.
Right. I've clicked onto it. Yes. You have the right to object to Meta using the information you've shared on our products and services to develop and improve AI at Meta.
Okay, so there we go. So now we know that URL is the correct URL for everybody.
So I'm going to select a country quickly. I'm still in the UK, yes, for the moment. I'll just use the one that I use for my account.
Yeah, it's important to use the email address that you use Facebook.
Obviously, yeah. And tell us how the processing impacts you. What did you say?
I said I'm a professional photographer and I don't like it.
Is that literally what you said? And I don't like it. It's like stamping your foot.
It ain't right.
I am a professional photographer and I'm not keen on this idea.
Go on, be brash like me. Just type FU.
No, I'm not going to write that. AI has feelings. And that's it. Is that it? Just submit. Yeah.
And then
for security purposes, we've sent a code to your email address. Okay.
Oh yeah, you've got to do that as well. Verification.
Right. Which is
while you're doing that, I'm going to read the URL out again for other people. Facebook.com/help/contact/635919108416519. And we will definitely include that in the show notes, and then you can stop the monsters from gobbling up your.
Do you think there's a disadvantage to this at all?
I don't think there's a disadvantage, but I'm really pissed off with the fact that they switched this on by default. It's an opt-out rather than an opt-in, so it's just another nail in the Facebook.
Because you, like me, are an AI user. You believe in the power of AI. Have you had a conversation with your GPT 4.0 yet? Have you had a chat with it?
Loads. I love the power of AI from a research point of view, but what I don't want, I've also on Squarespace switched off, in the Squarespace settings, you can switch off the ability to allow AI bots to index your content and learn from your content as well. So in some ways, I'm kind of, I'm not giving them.
You want the best bits,
the food, but I'm taking.
You're happy to eat. Yeah.
But for the Facebook point of view, I'm not happy with it at all because it's mostly images, isn't it? And I don't want them using my image. I do not agree in any way, shape, or form any of the AI. I don't use AI to create images or what's called Mind Journey. None of that. I don't like the one in Photoshop where you can say replace this with a table, for example. I don't do any of that stuff because that table would have been photographed by or learned from photographed by somebody else. I don't agree with any of that stuff personally.
Well, thank you for that, Kev.
You had the result? It came up like almost instantly for me.
Oh, did it? I've not checked. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's we received your request and will honour your objection. This means your request will be applied going forward. In the meantime, please can you tell Kev to mind his own business?
Yep, there we go.
Although
and I would get, or if any of your family and stuff are on it, get them to do it.
Yeah. Well, Sam's on it. That's for sure. I am like you though.
You don't know if the kids are on it.
No, they're not. They're not. They do have. We have got them profiles with their names, but they're not on it at the moment. If they want to join it in the future, I don't think they will. I think I don't hear them talk about Facebook at all. They're just they are pretty sort of blasé when it comes to anything to do with Facebook. Why would I want to use that? That's what old people use, isn't it?
For old people. Yeah.
That's what they say, Kev.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I don't think they're in the least. I don't think they're in the least bit interested. I have been having conversations with the AI though, and I've taught it a little bit about me. Which Giles, my friend, that we mentioned already, was horrified the other day when I had a conversation the other day. I did it in front of Thomas because he didn't know about this. And he was coming down to do his paper round. I was getting up to do to walk the dog. It was Sunday morning. Rain was a bit nasty on Sunday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I turned it on and I'd said, "Hi GPT," and it said, "Hi Neale. Hope you're okay today. Are you going to be able to get out there and walk Barney? Is the rain going to be all right? Is it going to stay away?" And
it really say all that.
Yeah. Thomas looked at me and he was like, "Who is that?" I said, "That is ChatGPT. You try it. You teach Chat. After a while, it starts to learn how you talk as well." Mm-hmm. And so those ers and ums that I naturally use, they have started to appear in the conversations that I have with ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, it's very clever. Have we got a QQ that we could do, Kev? Because we spent a little bit of time on that one, but it's quite an important thing. Should we try for? Have you got a QQ in there? Have you got just a little QQ that you can tempt us with, Kev? Just to be the final thing in the programme today?
I've lost all my questions. Hold on. I'm not really speeding this process up much, am I?
Or should we ask ChatGPT to think of a photography question about Fujifilm?
Go on then.
So let me. I don't think I can do the talk one in here. In fact, no, I could. Here we go. I'll hold it up to the microphone. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to press the headphones button, and it's got its whirly whirl thing. Hold on. Right.
Sure. Take your time.
Oh, I am. Good morning, ChatGPT. How are you?
Good morning, Neale. I'm doing well. Thanks.
Can you give us a question about Fujifilm cameras that Kevin Mullins could answer?
Kevin Mullins is a well-known photographer and Fujifilm X Series ambassador. What would you like to know about Fujifilm cameras? Are you considering a new model or looking for some specific advice?
There we go, Kev. That's your question.
What was the question? And also, he's wrong because I'm not an ambassador.
No, I know. He hasn't got it quite right. I'm going to have to teach him afterwards. Are you considering a new model of camera, Kev?
No, although I am quite taken by the new GFX 100S Mark II.
There we go. Well,
but no, I'm not. I don't use my GFX 100S enough to warrant that.
I've never used a well, I think I may have pressed the button on yours a couple of times. But I think the danger would be if I used it, I would want one.
Yeah, everybody who uses GFX wants one.
And I don't think I can afford that at the moment, Kev. So unlike the other things that I do nick from your cupboard of doom when I come over your place, make sure there's never a GFX there, please.
My cupboard of doom's been tidied up now.
Has it? Oh, blimey.
Yes, I know where everything is.
Except the lenses that you're still missing.
The things that I'm not missing, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this. I know it was a bit, at the end it was a bit strange because we sort of went down the AI avenue there, but that's what, it's fluid, Kev, it's fluid. That's what it is. If you'd like to write in, then we certainly could do with some questions by the sound of it. Click at fujicast.co.uk is the email address. Kev, how might we contact you using Facebook? Just go to Facebook and you'll find that there's a tagged post at the top and leave your question in there. I think that's what he meant. That's it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. It's got a bit silly, really. Bye-bye, Kev. He's very good at that, actually.
The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.